what's going on YouTube? It's the brain of the main from here at POPXP for another exciting episode. And you know what? It's the last show of the week, so it's our big show of the week. Thursday night, mainstream. Gentlemen, we've got the teen sensation in the house. We've got Dr. Blevins.
Uh-oh.
Dr. Blevins is in the house.
And Dr. Blevins is about to burst because he missed the last time our esteemed guest was on the show. And he's
that's just gonna make this episode that much better.
Yep, he and Humberto Ramos were the two shows that you were most looking forward to, and you couldn't make.
God, I told you, Billy. I don't think I told you this, but you know, Humberto sent me a personal message telling me that he hoped all was well and was really looking forward to being on the show again, but to make sure that I was there. I thought that was very, very classy of him.
He's a mensch. He's a classy man.
He's amazing. He's amazing.
He's a class act.
He is.
But, you know, without further ado, I mean, we're going to get into it. We've got a great guest
we got
tonight.
to.
I mean, we're talking an author, screenwriter, producer, director, comic book creator, gamer, just an incredible gentleman that I'll be honest, very privileged to know, to have had on the show previously. Welcoming him back with open arms. We're so pumped to talk with him. So without further ado, everyone, please welcome Adam Lawson back to the show.
What's up?
Hey guys, how are you? Good to
And
be back.
if I may be so bold, I think we can deem Adam as a friend of the show.
Yes.
You could deem me as a friend of the show. I am a friend of the show.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me back, guys. It was great last time, and I love what your stream is and the vibe you have here. So it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I thought if we could really, if we could do something about Billy, though.
I know, like, why is he drawing?
Oh,
He's kind of a dick.
Yeah. He's all like just drawing and like not paying attention.
I
brushed my teeth.
I can multi. I have to get the book done, guys.
Yeah.
I gotta get the book done. And then I got all those sketch covers I have to do. We just got if I may hijack this stream for a second, we just got about whatever what's 3 times 27?
3 times 27.
3 times
is-
27.
No, 3
or
times 27 is 3
81.
times 9. 3 times 9 is
3
27.
times 9 is 27.
So we just got in 27,000 trading cards.
What?
Yep, all
Man.
the trade, because we have 3,000 backers. So I think there's 3,000 or maybe 2,500. Let's just do what's 2,500 times 9?
You know, a lot.
A lot. Well,
Yeah.
it's
It's this many.
Here's this money, Billy, and then you do it like this time.
I did not get the memo there was going to be math on this quiz.
I know. What the hell?
No, but we just got all the trading cards in, so all of our stretch goals are in for Chi Return of the Warrior. We're
Sweet.
going to start packing up all the stretch goal packs this weekend. I'm just so excited about it. So
Yeah, dude.
You're ready to set sail on that, bro.
You should be proud of that because that campaign was epic, and obviously it's a loved character. And Billy, I mean, it's way to go.
We ordered 3,000. Debbie's watching. So so 27,000 trading cards we just got from Pilgrim Press Printing, and not only are they just regular trading cards, they're silver metallic trading cards.
Man, so they're going to go off in the metal detectors.
Heck yes. I can show you one after. But this is. I mean, Mr. Lawson, this is your show, and Blevins, Jimmy.
No, but you should definitely plug that because you should be way proud of that.
Yeah, definitely, man.
That's awesome.
Well, let's get it on.
Yeah, I mean, so Adam, I mean, you currently still have a campaign going.
Yeah.
That's right.
Which is doing very well. You have 12 days left on this bad boy. Are you extending,
That's
or are
right.
you guys just going to go to the 12?
No, that is with all the extension in, and so we're super excited. So in 12 days, it'll be all she wrote, and at the pace we're going, we will for sure make it.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're excited about it. I mean, we took an ambitious goal first time. The 8th is it's a 200-page hardcover with a slipcase special edition experience, and then we had a cool T-shirt option, and there's also a digital issues version. We did a custom design on the T-shirt, and I really blew it out. I kind of went for the thing that I wanted as a collector, right? Like that I often wish, because sometimes I feel like it's fun to back something, but then it's nice when you get something that you can't get at your comic shop.
Exactly.
Right. And so that's kind of what I crafted. And, maybe in hindsight, I would have offered a softcover version, but I really love what we've got here. And one of the perks is because we're 5 issues in of this 8-issue story. As soon as the campaign ends, every backer gets issue 1 in their mailbox, and the next month issue 2, etc. In their digital mailbox.
Nice.
And the story, you get to jump in right away. And then we'll catch up and so that by the time you're getting digital issues before their wrap up, we'll have the print issue done and the hardcovers will go out. And also too, once we're funded, which is going to be happening any day now, everybody gets the first stretch goal, which is an epic spot UV embossed print that you just passed up there a little while back. If you go scroll back up a little bit, but it's this cool print here that everyone gets at an A4 size. So it's a premier experience, and it's an awesome product, and something with amazing art that the artist and I have poured last couple of years of our life into, and it's that's the scope of what it is, and it's awesome to see fans excited about it, to see people on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter reaching out about it, and to have friends from my old childhood come back and say like, "Hey, this is a cool thing," and to come on board.
And that's the big secret too. I mean, first of all, that art is just amazing. I mean, it looks like nothing else out there. And what's your artist's name?
His name is Joran Evers. He lives in the Netherlands. And he started as my storyboard artist, when really the truth of it is I hijacked him because I was doing a TV show and I also wanted to do a comic. So I said, if I hire this guy at studio money to do my storyboards, then when we have no money in comics, he'll still say yes. So I could give him TV money as well, at the beginning, so he didn't feel like I was trying to run a scam on him. But and one thing that was really cool, if you jump back up to the top of the page there now, that I really tried to do with Joran is to build, I think, Bill, you can appreciate that, was to build pages where not just the words and the art told the story, but the way the paneling was laid out. So if you kind of look at that top page here, now if you go to the very tip top of the campaign, you can kind of see it played out, is a good example of it. We tried to tell the story with the paneling and the shapes and the sizes of the panel and the way they functioned. And if you look in this image up here at the top here, you can see this is where this metallic nanoparticle armor that he's found a piece of is starting to wrap up his arm. And I wanted to get this sensation that he was sinking, right? He was falling into this. And so you can see the way we built this page with the way the shapes of the panels are. And you can see the way they start to tilt.
With the abstract panels, and look how they're falling too. It's crumbling.
It's like he's
brilliant.
sinking. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Right. So that was what we're trying to do with these panels, was to help, do some more storytelling with the shape and nature of them, as well as the content of them. And so I was really excited to start this with Joran, because that was part of what it was like, hey, we're not just building something that has, 6 or 9 or 4 panels per page, but we want to pretend that the squares don't exist. And now let's tell the story. And we tried to keep that as much as we can. And then sometimes, sure, there are square panels and rectangular panels to slow down pacing and et cetera. But,
and Adam, if you wouldn't mind, for those who missed the show a few weeks ago, we had great conversation about what if we had wielded this power, if this came upon us as a child, as a teen, but would you mind running the story through? Just give people the lowdown on what the 8th is about, please.
Yeah, sure. So the 8th is the story of about 3 teenagers who are in a troubled small town, and David is a math genius, and he has solved the Millennium Problem, which, if you don't know what those are 7, a list of unsolvable problems that the finest minds in the world can't. He solves one, but his life doesn't change, and in fact, the bullying at school is so bad, his brother ends up committing suicide, and his mother is very depressed about this, and so his world is out of control. But he uncovers this artifact while scavenging a burned down house with his aunt. They have a pawn shop, and he realizes the shaping and the runes on this thing are a math equation. an impossible equation, but that happens to be connected to the equation he's been working on himself. He solves it, and that's how he opens this piece of ancient Sumerian armor. What's cool about it is David's superpower is math, and the way he controls the nanoparticles is they respond to electrical impulses and based on the equations that he's running in his mind. So he uses math to control his power, in the way that, equations, in the simplest form, E equals MC squared is a power translated into, to a numerical expression. And that's how he manipulates it. And then his friend Emma, who is in foster care and is kind of living with him, and has experienced some really tough abuse. And so he decides he's going to solve the bully problem and save. He couldn't save his brother, but maybe he can save someone else. Except because this power is extreme, right? It's built to take on sages and super powerful things. When employed against a teenager, he shatters their spines. He's not ready. Mangles them in ways that are horrifying, and he's not ready for it. But that he feels like is the cure, right? Because like all teens, like you're talking about, Billy, sometimes they feel the world's out of control, especially when there's bullying and abuse around. Your world's out of control, and all you want to do is lay hold of it. And you want to, and in David's mind, he wants to make the world do something, except you can't make the world do things. And in your attempt to control it, you destroy yourself. And so he and his two friends, Emma and Atticus, take this journey. It goes wildly awry. Atticus is feeling like it's wrong from the beginning. Emma, who wants to push it farther. David caught in the middle, end up kind of leaving their hometown in ruins, and then in search of these other pieces of this Sumerian armor, and that maybe on the other side of finding these, they can find some meaning and find the other pieces of themselves, so to speak. So that's our story. Thank you, Kyle.
Now, what's really cool is I know you shared this with us on the last show before you even put this up on the campaign. But I mean, this is, the statue. Like, this is now a perk. Like, this is the one and only.
Yeah. So I had this thought. I was like, what's a way to give the campaign something exciting? I was being interviewed by a journalist. This is a one and only. This is a custom, hand sculpted, hand painted. This is not a resin. This is sculpted by Gregory Ronowitz, one of the most famous sculptors in Hollywood. He's sculpted hundreds of toys, all of Babylon 5, so many Star Wars toys. And this is his handiwork. It's about 1 foot tall. It's about 11.5 inches tall. Mm-hmm. And it's a beautiful, epic piece. It's right here as well, if you can see it right here as well.
Nice.
Beautiful. Just beautiful.
Is that the one?
It's the only one, Blevins. It's the only one.
That's the only one.
And
this is not out of a mold. It's the real thing. It's such a cool piece. And I thought, you know what? I love this piece. But what might be exciting is for somebody else to carry that mantle, right? Of the one and only eighth on the earth. And so we opened that up as a perk. And, the actual cost of the statue is 5 times what is on here. But
I know.
Fortunately, but I thought, let me put it at a number that makes sense for anyone in the world. You know what I mean? That makes some sort of logical sense. And so it's really a chance for me to kind of give that out and give the eighth out to the world.
Nice.
Was the hope with that.
It's incredible.
It really is.
It's such a gorgeous statue too. But look who made it. I mean, look who sculpted it.
He's the best. He's done a great deal of work for me over the years. All my stuff on Escape the Night. Not to mention the fact that he did almost all the Spielberg movies, like in the city, like in Spielberg's movie AI. He built that whole city. He's so it's this really special piece, and somebody else can be the one and only carrier of the eighth. So that's the bit of the tale, and that is a really an exciting thing. And it's like, and you look at this, it's like you're like, wow, what is, what? And when it kind of sits on your desk, it's like, wow, I got something to look up to.
How heavy is that statue?
I mean, probably in pounds, it's probably like in the 3 to 5 pounds. Mm-hmm. It's got some weight to it. You wouldn't want to throw it around. It's not made out of plastic. It's a real sculpt. But it has some weight to it. And it's got this really nice base here.
Let me zoom in on you.
Yeah, so it's got this base so that it sits really comfortably and there's no wobble to it, and you don't have fear of it getting, accidentally falling over.
That design on that costume, that Sumerian costume, or I'm saying costume, but armor. That armor is incredible because it's like a nanotechnology, right? Like a Sumerian nanotechnology that is, it's powered by the electricity of the body, right? What the body's producing. Is that how it regenerates itself?
That's right. That's right. So it's like
such a great concept.
I know.
Yeah, there's a mathematical. Hey, please take it away. There is actually some science going on to the idea that you can take particles that are sort of randomly assembled, or sort of like simple particles, and put them and hit them with some certain amount of electricity, and that they would spontaneously become complex particles, like turning a glass of water into an ice sculpture by a pulse of electricity. So there's real science behind that, and I thought, that's what this is. This is the realization of this idea that the bioelectrical world of your body is enough to get this thing to reshape. If I don't get too science on you there.
Well, when I saw this image, I was like, bad freaking ass. Like, just. I'm scrolling through, this image comes up, and I'm like, that looks familiar. And then, and I know you turned it around, but then when I saw this, I was like, that's freaking badass, man.
Yeah, that is the final stage of the armor, where he has all of the pieces.
Yeah.
And so, and along the way, that he has to make some real sacrifices to get there.
So how long again was this? How long did from concept to where you are now? How long did it take to really get the 8th moving?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. So it's been 2 years, and albeit it's gone through different phases of speed, right? Because if you can imagine, I don't think I mentioned this last time, or maybe I did, is that I made the issue 1 already once with a different artist besides Jordan, and then their schedule and complications in life, it didn't work out for them to continue on, and so I actually have a second version of issue 1. Which would probably be a fun thing to work on and get up to the backers digitally, so everyone would see like the alt version once they've seen all the other issues. But and then when I talked to Jordan about doing it, is when it really sort of came to life. And we went through different phases of over the course of a couple of years, like doing an issue and then sometimes have a break for a few months and going back in. But now we've really ramped it up because I was like, we got to get this thing finished, and it's 8 issues. And so now at this point we have 5 issues, 100% complete. The 6th one is done with line art now and is in coloring right now. Jordan's coloring it. And I do the lettering, or at least for the last 3, I'll do the lettering. And then, he'll do the, and then issue 7 and 8 are coming right around the corner. And so scripts are already in for that. And it's, and now it's like, and I think the campaign also gave this boost for Jordan. He's so excited that he's even more pumped up moving forward, because he kind of has to balance his life and job and creating this comic as most artists do. But
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So that's the process. But I think, and what's really cool about making this comic and about building a comic book is that when you mentioned Blevins, we were talking about TV shows. TV shows have a different kind of limitation, right? They have a limitation about like, oh great, let's set this on a spaceship battling a monster. It's like, that's way too expensive. The network's never going to approve it. We're not doing that. Whereas a comic book doesn't have that issue. It doesn't have that limitation. It has the limitation instead of panels, right? I love that you brought up the T-shirt here, Nile.
Yeah.
Because I wanted something cool, the way to rep your tribe, right? Just to say, hey, I'm with the 8th. I'm into comics and geeks. I got something different. And if you can see here, on the shirt, I wanted to build something that's more impressionistic versus just like a comic panel or a cover artwork on your chest. It's maybe kind of a little messy, where this ends up a little sleeker, and has a more impressionistic idea. That's David with the armor on, and then inside of him there is Emma, who is his partner in this whole journey. And, part of her development, you see there with this flaming sword. Yes, there it is. That, she says this initially unrequited love for him that in time evolves. And then you can see on the shoulder, there's that symbol there on the shoulder on the
it looks like a half of a harp. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually based on Sumerian writing. and it's something that Jordan crafted, which is the symbol of the 8th, right?
Oh, wow.
And
That's so
so
cool.
there's like this.
Cool.
So there's that. There's the cool symbology to it, because the way, to speak of the myth, in Sumerian myth there are 7 sages. Imagine, to relate them to a Christian myth or something, they're like angels, right? That came down and imparted information. But this story is about the 8th, the one that isn't recorded in history, and the 8th sage's job was kind of as the destroying angel, was to kind of control and be the outside observer of these 7. And so this is that marking that. And so Sumerian myth was fun because it has a lot of cool visuals to it, but also it gives you a chance to explore thoughts of ancient aliens, of ancient tech, and because it's not so defined that you can't make up a few things.
It's freaking. I love this story, man. I love this. But one thing I do need you to elaborate on. So we've got his other friend here, right?
This is Atticus, yeah.
Atticus. Now, what's the weapon that he has? Can we get a little bit of Atticus's background?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you brought up Atticus, because in the first issue, he's the smallest of the 3 characters, and he kind of takes a different pathway than the other 2, and he then circles back around with them. And he has such a different ride from the 2 of them, and he's such a cool character. But what he finds is, because along the way they're finding other ancient Sumerian objects, right? And this is something that he digs up, which is this ancient Sumerian gun, if you will. And it's a sage killer. It's built to kill a sage, and he doesn't know fully how it works. And he's kind of the engineer of the group. He's the one who built their treehouse. And so he tinkers with it. And as the story progresses and he finds different pieces, he advances the gun's capability. And this is him here in Japan. He's kind of gone on because David and Emma leave town and leave him alone there. And some other things happen to him and his family, and then he sets out on a journey and finds them later. And this is him in Japan, where he meets back up with them.
Art's amazing. The color palette.
I love it.
I mean, is he coloring that digitally? Because it looks like watercolor.
Yeah, so it's interesting you say that, Billy. So what we did is it's all digitally colored, but see, the coloring was the thing we took the longest on in the beginning to get figured out. If you look at this page, you can see how in the background it looks kind of like that's smudged, or there's this sense of like brush stroke that you'd get. And so, because his art has this slightly cartoonish element to it, but the story is very dark, right? And so it's a nice way to like make something that's heavier not feel quite as heavy. But the coloring is maybe we wanted to give it some grit to it. And that's what ended up with this palette here, Billy, as you're talking about, I'm sure, as you're thinking about. So this is an overlay that we built. He works in Clip Studio Art. And that he has multiple versions of it that he lays on pages and makes adjustments, but it's kind of what helps give the color a little bit more tarnish.
Oh goodness! I mean, wow.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Cool
there's a whole lot of no good happening right there in that panel.
You know what? Let me tell you something. If that's no good, I don't want to be good.
Yeah. If it's wrong, you don't want to be right.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And that scene is where the trio decides, hey, we're going to take down the bullies. And you can see Atticus. You can see the storyline. There's a double splash page, right? And as I was building that, I wanted to tell a whole journey in 2 pages, right? And you can see Atticus at the beginning is, he thinks this is okay to do, and then in the middle part he's like, oh, maybe this isn't so great, and then by the third one he's hiding in the corner because of what his friends have kind of become. Speaking of his storyline, and then he's in his character he's like a first generation Ghanaian that's here. His parents are from Ghana, moved to the small town, and he's born in the States. And his father has a very strong religious background, and he senses like, man, we're crossing way too many lines. Yeah. And then ultimately his brother suffers dramatically for it. So he has a lot of anger towards Emma and David initially, right? And that has to somehow be resolved along the way. And so anyways, I love his character, and I think that if I were to do something afterwards with this in the eighth world. I want to try to take his journey a little bit farther.
Perfect. And the cover, I mean, this cover is great. It's simple, but it's just like right to the point of like, you got the hand with the armor, the eighth. I mean, it's simple, but it's brilliant.
Thank you.
I'm shilling it right cool. now. I'm shilling it, but it's brilliant. I'm really excited for this. And Frank, amazing, another producer of the show. He posted in the comment, I popped up. He like can't wait for this either. Like we're really looking forward to getting into this because we love the art, we love the concept. Obviously, we want to read it, see it, and hopefully get a great review out there for you once this is released.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, very great. Now,
so what we did is.
Yep, I'm sorry.
On the covers, so this is the image without the issue title, which says "Letting Everyone Down," and then it has the names beneath it. But all of the covers are the same image, right? It's a hand that's reaching into frame that has some sort of problem. You can see it on the right hand side.
Mm-hmm.
Now you just pass it. You go back.
Did I pass it?
Go back up, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the right hand side.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
You see the digital issues. You see how they work out for the covers. Now there's 8 of them. I only have the first 5 shown up there. So each one is a new hand that's there, and it's telling a piece of the story. And you can see there, issue 3, that's Atticus's hand, holding the gun. And there's, different parts. And we try to create a nice symbol of a hand and try to tell the whole story of that issue with the hand.
God damn.
Dude, this is so cool. I freaking love it. I'm like so excited for tonight because we're starting off talking about your book, right? We're starting off, we have going on, but like there's so much more to you. And that's why I was like, Adam, please come back on. There's so much to talk to you about. And I mean, you're a perfect guest because you were on right before we even rebranded, because we were actually in the rebranding process. I think you were on the last official crowdfunding comic show, and then we rebranded to POPXP, which is the pop culture experience, and we're still doing crowdfunding comics as a show on POPXP. But I mean, with your whole portfolio, your background, your pedigree, man, I mean, you are just like the prime guest for what we're trying to do with our brand as well. And I mean, this is great. I mean, and guys out, everyone watching live right now on Facebook and YouTube, if you can get out, check out the book. I'm telling you, this is going to be one of those books it's going to blow up, I think. Once people get this in their hands, people start talking about it, the reviews start going out. You're getting a motion picture in your hands of an incredible story with a great concept. Sumerian armor, I mean, it's incredible. You saw the images of the statue. Please back it, share it. Share it on your Twitters, your Instagram, Facebook, whatever you have. If you do shows as well, maybe reach out to Adam, get a plug, get it going. Let's let this thing freaking hit goal and beyond. There's 12 days left. Make it happen.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Much appreciated. Maybe we want to watch, for anybody, the people who are new tonight, just to watch the trailer.
Yes.
We got to give it.
It's a great.
And then we start talking about tabletop.
Oh, you know it. That's where we're going.
According to my math teacher, I'm the smartest kid she's ever met. I solved the Millennium Math problem. But nothing changed. My brother still hung himself. My mother's still depressed. The kids at school are still horrifying to each other. But what if there was a way I could fix all that? What if I could take this broken world and reassemble it? And even if the world didn't want to, I would make it change. Make it see things differently. The only problem is that sometimes the world pushes back and makes you do things. Terrible, terrible things.
It's one of the best campaign videos I've ever seen.
Yeah, far away.
Yeah, well, you know what though? What helps too, I think, is like your background as well. So you kind of, you're putting together something a little cinematic,
Sure.
and it really adds just an extra touch to that video and really of what you're selling. But yeah, man, this is great.
Thank
Like I
you.
said, everyone out there, if you can, share it, back it, check this out more in depth on your own. I definitely think it's something that you are not going to, I can't even think of the word. It's not something you're going to be sorry about. You won't regret it. You won't regret it. TJ James says,
Thank you.
wow.
Yes.
Louis says, awesome.
Yes, Louis.
All right.
Well, let's get some questions going, Blevins.
All
Where would you
right.
like to start, Mr. Blevins?
Well, I think the best place to start is the beginning. I mean,
Let's do it.
So let's go ahead and jump right into tabletop. Tabletop was something that was pushed really hard by Wing, and of course, you were behind this as well, helping with that, correct? So you two were the main. At what point did Felicia Day come on board?
Oh, okay. So the way it worked out was, to help clear that up, so is that at the beginning is Felicia had the channel, Geek and Sundry, and
Right.
Google had elected her to become one of the premium channels. At the time, years ago, they were doing this Google Premium thing, right? And they were essentially giving a certain pile of money to certain channels to bolster their content. And so then her and Will got talking and said, he's like, hey, I want to do a celebrity board gaming show. And then Felicia talked with her business partner at the time, Sherry Bryant, who I produced a movie with, and she said, can you come in and make this show for us? And so that's when I met Will and Felicia. So Felicia and Will were on it from the very, very, very beginning together. And so, and then I came into the table and helped build the formatting for the show and produced the show, and then ultimately ended up as well as directing the show. And it's so I've been all 4 seasons. I did it all 80 some odd episodes plus the behind the scenes. Sitting in mini editorial sessions, directing it on set, and also the oftentimes the game testing beforehand. I would play games with Will and try to narrow down our list, right? And so we would usually get like 400 plus games submitted that I'd whittle down and probably
Poor guy. Poor guy.
Yeah. And it was quite the thing. So yeah, so that's how that began, and it was an awesome journey together. Will, with Will and the team and everyone involved, and Jen Arnold, who was an early director on the show, she brought so much to it, and it was it was cool because Will would come to set often and would have an email printed out that he got from somebody who was a stepfather who'd been estranged from his stepchildren, and through board gaming and watching the show, it brought the whole family together. And that is a pretty magical thing, right? To see that gaming can build community, and it can create an arena where people can connect. While we were doing the show, there was so much statistic you'd hear about, like on Match.com, the number one thing people wanted to do for a date is not have a dance, but was to do board gaming night.
Oh, nice.
Right?
Understood.
They felt like it was the best way to connect because it did require somebody who doesn't dance or maybe socially, physically uncomfortable in that way. But it's also something that took it from just two people staring at each other, and it opens up a lot of things. So tabletop was a great ride for sure. One of my favorite anecdotes about it is for seasons 1 and 2, we shot this particular location with a green couch. And this, I think, Blevins, you might know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
So, and at the end of the show, what happens is the winner goes to the winner's wall and receives this really immaculate cheerleading trophy, and the losers go sit on the loser's couch.
Yep.
And so we thought, boy, they got this great couch already at the location. Let's just use that. And then after season 2, Will starts getting emails from people that show that couch in pornographic films.
Oh no!
Because that location had also rented itself out to the adult industry.
My.
Oh, right. Oh my! For sure.
Now you've got our attention.
Yeah, now you're paying attention.
I love games.
A lot of people playing Twister around the couch area.
And so that couch become, there was some certain acts done on that couch that we weren't aware of, and we've been sitting
I hope
on
they
it.
steam cleaned it.
I hope so. I don't really know the answer to that, and we didn't ask because we figured we'd just stop using it and pretend it never happened. But that's a fun little anecdote about the making of tabletop.
So, at what point did you guys decide to use the Kickstarter? Go Kickstarter route to try to fund the episodes.
Yeah, so after season 2, Google quit doing premium channels, and so they were no longer financing the content. And at that time, we said that we got to do a crowdfunding campaign. We ended up choosing actually Indiegogo because they gave us a little bit better deal, and they went a little bit more. No, you're totally fine.
When I think Kickstarter, I just think in general. Sorry.
No, absolutely. Kickstarter is like Kleenex, right? You just used to, but we ended up going that way, and we had a love of the show, and we pushed it hard, and unfortunately, we built 2 seasons, 40 episodes of fans that really got behind it, and at the time, it was a big raise. It was a $1.5 million raise, which resulted in season 3 and a whole other show called Titan's Grave. So it was a fabulous success to see the fans, come together like that. It was, a testament to the strength of that community and how much people wanted to have that experience, and also not just to have it, but to be a part of it. That's the fun part about backing something. I think, I've backed so many things, dozens of comic books, backpacks, shoes, half the clothes I own, that it's fun to I'm a part of that, in some special way. I contributed to show up and get handed something. I was there, I saw it first, and I got behind it. So, dude,
I still have my green Geek and Sundry Tabletop Day sign, the light up LED sign that they gave away to the big backers. Yeah, but man,
amazing.
You know what's crazy? A lot of people on the show don't know, but I owned a gaming store for a long time, like over 15 years, and I actually owned the largest. Yeah,
largest.
The largest gaming store in
humongous, tremendous.
It was mighty large.
Mighty large.
And
does this go with the green
happened
couch?
In the show?
Yeah, I think so.
It's probably in the green couch episodes.
So what a lot of people also don't know, when people think board games, you hear people who are ignorant to the subject of board games, they think Monopoly, they think Sorry, Chutes and Ladders and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't realize that there's a whole advanced level of gaming, not to mention a competitive level when it comes to the board gaming, the board gaming genre. And I think that this show that was done, the Geek and Sundry, the tabletop, was definitely the spark that has ignited what board games are today and the following that board games have. I mean, sure, there were other places out there like Dice Tower and, that were doing, doing things. But I mean, they spawned so many other shows that people probably didn't think would actually even do very well just because, they were, quote, nerd shows or something along those lines. And when you have people that generally care about it producing a good quality work that they back, I mean, that's when you get a great show. And that's why I think it did so well, is because they had you and they had Will and they had, all these people that were actually passionate about the games and actually cared. I mean, a lot of research into doing games, not just whoever would give you a check to play the game, review the game at the time.
No, in fact, Will was very strict about that. So not any game on the show was ever paid for to be on the show. It was only Will's personal taste, right? And whether he liked it, I mean, there's some criteria, right? You needed the show to be turn-based. It needed to have high stakes, high risk, high strategy, high luck, good production value, etc. And so I think that you're right. And also I think what helped it too is it was done at a high enough production value with big enough celebrities that it became a real thing. versus maybe like you're saying, what might be perceived as a nerd thing or something in the basement. And I agree. It's what spawned it. It's what created the platform, which then became a window for places like Critical Role to take off.
Definitely.
And those guys are great. And I've worked with all of them. And they're
You got
lovely.
to work with Matt Mercer and Marisha Ray and all them?
Of course. So Matt is in Sagas of Sundry, another series I directed. So is Marisha. I've also directed Force Grey, where Matt is the dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons. And Travis Willingham, has been on Worthy Opponents, on Tabletop. I produced a movie he was in. Same thing with Liam O'Brien, that whole camp.
Do you get to hang out with Aaron from Bat in the Sun as well? You ever get to meet that guy?
Unfortunately, not. But the rest of the team, very close with, and it's so. And I agree. It paved a special way, and we didn't quite realize it at the time, and it is now turning into this arena. I remember going to VidCon, for Escape the Night premiere, and how many, influencers are saying, "Hey, the best thing to do on your channel is to either play D&D or board games," and you'd see like this beautiful fitness model Australian girl saying, "You should play D&D on your channel. It's good," that's a lovely thing. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just not who you would normally assume was that fan saying, "Oh no, this is what we do," and them having no idea that it was somehow a weird thing for old white dudes that are just like, "Oh no, this is what we're doing now." You know what I mean? It was just like, "Oh no, that's what we're doing now."
Yeah, and
it's exciting to see that.
Now, would you mind if we play a little of Tabletop?
Please.
Check it out. We'll do a little commentary maybe. Now, this is a screen sharing thing. We may have some echo issues. There's something going on with StreamYard, but I do want to, just for anyone out there, just to check it out.
Oh, just check it out. This is episode 111.
Can you mute us?
What's that?
Mute us.
Can I mute you?
Us? Yeah, mute. Yeah, mute.
Yeah, let me do that, and we'll play it a little bit, right? Sorry about that. Let me just I'll play a little bit.
Here, I can mute him up.
When most people think of a small world, they think of being on a boat, surrounded by creepy dolls who won't stop singing. But when gamers think of a small world, they imagine a fantasy-filled land full of crazy races with outrageous powers, where the world is covered in blood as we battle to see who can take it over and win the game. Today on Tabletop, Grant Imahara, Sean Plott, and Jenna Bush are here as we visit my very favorite small world. Small World combines the military strategy of Risk with the delightful art and fantasy races
Adam, this
of
was the
Cosmic
very
Encounter.
first episode.
Whoever has the most points
This
at the
is
end of
episode
9
1,
rounds
season 1.
we earn points.
It's amazing. We're in that location with the particular green couch.
Territories cost 2
And,
units to conquer.
And you get to that opening
In a
animation.
territory,
We really
costs
improved it
1
just for season 2 west.
to conquer.
The animator who I had do that.
That's
And what first before he didn't quite realize how popular the show was going to be, what it was.
a mountain.
And then he did it. And then the show was a big hit. And all of his geek friends were like,
beginning of
"Dude,
every
your animation sucks. Could have been way better."
a fantasy race.
So he called because I'm going to redo it for season 2. I don't need money. I just can't. I got to get better.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a beautiful season 1. But he improved it. But see, this was like our part of, I think Blevins is, I think such a nice thing for fans is they could watch the show and learn how to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
And through the use of graphics and all the other pieces we did, it walked you through it in a way where you could go, "Oh, I get what this is." And then you could, after you watch people playing it, you could play it. So not only did you have a great time watching, you could do it yourself.
And we had at the store, we had a huge board game following, and we had multiple board game nights throughout the week. Like we had family board game night, we had a competitive board game night, and then of course we had Saturday night board games, which went all the way up to midnight. And then that's not even counting when we had the tabletop and the international tabletop game days, that were always huge. We always streamed them online, and they were great. And during that time, I was in talk with Aaron Gray at Wu Wei, which became Heroes for Hire. I was in talk with her to try to get Will Wheaton to come to the store as a celebrity guest, and it, of course, his property value went up so much. Then he got the sci-fi, Talk Soup episode, which and then Big Bang Theory, and I was just like, wow, like.
And you just loved him as Ensign Wesley Crusher or whatever his rank was, right? And you're like, oh no, now Will Wheaton belongs to the world.
He's not mine.
Yeah, it's always upsetting when your celebrity has a life outside of what you would like for them.
Yeah, well, I met him at BGG Con when they were doing the big tabletop deal. It was him and Felicia Day, which I think was actually the last time she did anything with tabletop and Geek and Sundry. They were actually at the Geek and Sundry booth. And I tried to talk to him, but I guess he had to go. But I was going to shake his hand, and he gave me knucks instead of shaking hand, which I guess that was he didn't know me, But yeah, man, like he did know me. He didn't know me. I could
know you. Who doesn't know Blevins? Who doesn't know Blevins?
Could have had a buzzer, man.
Everyone knows Blevins.
Everyone knows
Everybody
Blevins.
should know Blevins. But yeah,
so
man.
what happened to this shop, Blevins? You've been talking about this shop where you have a thing.
Man, so
What happened to that shop?
well, in 2018, just minding my own business, hanging out at the store, the roof caved in, destroyed everything. Sprinklers went off. All my having a board game magic shop, 100% paper inventory just got wrecked, and it took them 8 months to fill it all back up and get all the stuff back going. And by the time I reopened, I did reopen with an even more incredible store, but my heart wasn't in it anymore, and I decided I wanted to do something else. So, but you can still check it out. I actually own the name The Game Store. Like my website was thegamestore.com. And after 4 years of battling on eBay,
TJ, he was great on the Guild.
Yeah.
So the game store is you.
Yeah, well, the Game Store online is not up anymore, but you can still see it on Facebook. Yeah, you can check out the Game Store in Arkansas. So yeah, it was good times. I still have all the pictures. People can look up there and reminisce with me. But just kind of just quit doing it. I still have tons of stuff up there though that I need to get rid of. But
yeah, he still has the store.
Yeah, I still have.
You still have your freaking inventory too.
It's full of arcade games right now. I started collecting arcade games, stand-up arcade games. But
What's your total?
This show's about you. 88.
88 arcade games.
Yep.
Yeah.
But but yeah, man. So you have
best
tabletop.
adult sleepover ever.
Dude.
Arcade games
I
all night
I
long.
think so. Let's do it.
Dude, come on. Let's do it.
He even has those nice gaming tables.
Yeah, and it might be haunted, the building.
Yeah, I
Really?
have
What?
I have nine stand-up gaming tables. I had tons of tables at a cafe. I still have all that stuff, but yeah, it was pretty awesome, man. We love to do the board games. It was definitely one of the top sellers, and we had the big top, board BGG, top 25, top 50 list. What was available at the time, because those games started selling out. Then you had to super pre-order, and then of course all the Indiegogos and Kickstarters of the games. All that stuff. It probably would have eventually ended up happening, but there's no way that it would have happened as quick if it did, if it wasn't for you and Will and the other people making that show. Hands down.
You are too kind. You are too kind.
It's a fact. Facts are true, I guess, but facts are good. But
facts are true for sure. Not you guess.
So during the time that all the Indiegogo was happening, they said, hey, look, if we hit these stretch goals, we'll create, I'll do a D&D, a D&D campaign. Were you part of the process of deciding what core game you were going to be attaching the role-playing game to, like the actual base system?
That's right. So 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 he called it an RPG show was the pitch, because it didn't end up being Dungeons and Dragons at all. It ended up being based on a Green Ronin gaming system, a fantasy age system. It was like the core mechanic, and then the Titan's Grave was the overlay to it.
Right.
And the idea is that what Will kind of had in his mind was this idea of like heavy metal magazines, where this idea where you have like this high science fiction and high fantasy mashed together. And so very early on, from the whole inception of that show, from the creative meeting, was talking with him and his son also, who did a lot of the writing on it, all through that whole process of building out that storyline and that world was definitely involved. And, it's interesting because that opening animation to Titan's Grave, the logo, for Titan's Grave, most people don't realize that was like design number 27. James Pake, who is maybe one of the best concept designers in the U.S. He is an amazing concept designer. All the Modern Warfare, Call of Duty games, is the top of the game. He did so many iterations to come to what is Titan's Grave. So, yes, we did say heavy metal. So that was kind of a bit of the desire with that. But we wanted to build something new and unique, that by watching the show, you got to experience something you couldn't get someplace else. And there it is. There it is.
Nice.
Thank you. Nile, the man. Look at that.
He's on it.
So that was a Titan's Grave, and that was a chance. It was super fun. Yuri Lowenthal was in the cast of that, who also is the voice on The Eighth, right? In that little animation, that's Yuri Lowenthal. You can hear him on Love, Death, and Robots, and about 50 video games and 1,000 animes. He's so talented. But yeah, so that was a really cool thing, and to take that journey with to go from tabletop to then swing into Titan's Grave and to continue that world. And then, in an RPG setting, it's so different because it's much more about performance, and we built all these animated sequences. I would do these, essentially what I do is I would hire an artist to build, and I would art direct these things and to build a big image in Photoshop layers, and then I would take it in and animate it, right? And so, and we would do 5 to 7 of these interstitials, and it was kind of amazing how much we could get out of one image if well done, and to help visually continue to bring this world to life, so it wasn't just in your mind. And that was, I think, crossing that line, that's what got me so much in love with seeking out artists, hiring artists, art directing artists, which then really helped prepare me to do The Eighth, right? Because I did over 100 images for, I think now Titan's Grave was it? So we did almost 110 images. And hey, what's up, Death Metal Hero? Take that.
What's up, Death Metal Hero, brother?
Bring it on. So
that guy's a champion.
He is.
Yes.
Love that hair.
Welcome to the table.
Yeah.
But it's Love, Death, Robots was freaking amazing. But what that was, but that's what really paved the way for me to do comics. Because after you've done 100 images, you've dealt with the finest concept artists around. I worked with all kinds of artists overseas, Korea and in the States as well. And having worked and reworked these images and working in Photoshop with them and all of the art direction notes, I got to fully understand what it takes to work with an artist. And I think, Bill, you can probably equate to that there's a language to speak to an artist. There's also the right ways to coach and develop artwork with an artist, and also to minimize their wasted time, and to also how to give criticism that actually improves the art.
Yeah, some constructive criticism, because,
Billy's tough.
Very
Billy is tough.
I'm not tough.
Oh, you're tough, dude.
Yeah. I'm like,
Billy, look at this
criticism
portrait of
people?
my mom. He's like, burn it. I'm like, oh, shoot.
Yeah, burn it.
Well,
and also too, you got to realize when I'm sure you realize, I experience this too, but when you're with an artist, they have their own strengths and their own weaknesses, and you can't make them be another artist, right? That's I think one thing that sometimes art directors fail, that they hire an artist to be another artist they couldn't afford or couldn't do, instead of saying, this is what this artist does, and how can I help them with putting this image together so that it comes to life in the best way. And then give them notes that will actually make what they're trying to do better, not just or hey, I don't like this. The color's not right. Like those kind of notes are so
Right.
meaningless. Like it's like, hey, the fact that we have a red and a pink here, like it'd be really nice if that was a red and a blue or something to help separate these two images. Anyways, so but I think that really set the stage for what became the 8th in having done so many images there. And then on Escape the Night, I had these animated sequences that opened the credits, which I continued that process I learned from Titan's Grave of taking these images and turning them into animations. So then 40 episodes of TV later, I guess 50 with Titan's Grave, that prepared me to do the comic books, working with an artist. So
Well, how did it, I guess, evolve from what Geek and Sundry and Tabletop was into what it initially, the final form it became, with Critical Role and all of that?
Yeah. It's interesting because, at the time there was a woman who was helping Fuchsia run the operation there named Sherry Bryant, who pushed, hey, we should really get on Twitch. And that, because Tabletop was kind of reaching its end. Titan's Grave was just starting, and Twitch was, they were saying, we need to be on Twitch. And
God, you would have killed it.
And then Matt Mercer and his team, which are so lovely, said, hey, we got this thing we'd like to do called Critical Role. And which is us streaming D&D, and it just happens we're voice actors and funny and handsome and cool and all these things that most like when I see Travis playing D&D, I'm always like, that's who I wish I was playing D&D, right? And so it's this special experience with that group, and then that became sort of the second life of Geek and Sundry. Now now they're on their own Critical Role, they're their own thing, and good for them. Right, they built something, and it's great to see creators continue. But yeah, those are kind of like the phases, right? There was the tabletop journey, / Titan's Grave, which led into the Critical Role side of it. And granted, there are other things we did. Spellsingers was great. Sagas of Sundry.
Definitely want to get into those as well. And I mean, dude, like if you were going to hand it off to anybody, Matt Mercer. That guy. He was committed. Like
that's
was
Sean Clark, but yes.
Yeah, that's
sorry.
Yeah, that's
Matt Mercer is one of the most disciplined people. I met him in the voiceover world before even getting into on the D&D side. I've directed him multiple times. He was my host for Worthy Opponents, which I did for Hearthstone. He was the Dungeon Master for Force Grey, which I directed, and he's also season 1 of Sagas of Sundry. So he and I have worked together a ton, and he's lovely.
A lot of people know him as the voice of McCree from Overwatch.
Absolutely. He's the voice of everything.
Yeah.
And in Hearthstone, you hear him all over,
Yeah.
And he's like this Shakespearean type actor. So you get like, you'll be playing D&D, and then all of a sudden, he pops out this soliloquy in this giant voice, and you're like, who can do that?
Where does it come from?
Right. Like, how did this happen? I've never been at a table when it's like he becomes this voice, and he has this whole memorized something, and he brings it to life. And that's the ideal, right? That's the ideal Dungeon Master. When you dream of it, it's Matt Mercer. So, and I loved what Will did when we did Titan's Grave, right? Will is a different kind. I think Will is such a great comedian, and he's so good at riffing on things, and Matt is the master of voices. So. But so that was a lot of great time there working at Geek and Sundry, directing these projects. One of the things that I haven't mentioned as much, speaking of the Magic the Gathering, was this one was without Sean Clark, but I did a special with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
He playing the Magic. So Joseph Gordon-Levitt is somebody that my fiance is connected to, and they have another. She's an EP on a TV show he does, and he got talking about how much he loves Magic, and she's like, "Well, I know somebody who directs this Magic show." So he and I got on the phone and to talk about it. I said, "Hey, Joe, I'd really love to have you come do this, but I'd love to do something special with you." And Magic the Gathering wanted to do a whole. They had new cards they wanted to push, the whole thing. And I got on the phone with Joe, and he's like, "Nah, I don't actually want to do any of that. I have these cards at my house that have been in a closet for 10 years. I want to take those out, bring them on the show, have him open it up, and play what's in there." And so I called Magic. They were like getting on the plane.
Right.
When Joe was like, "Hey, listen, I want to do this differently." And I called Trick, who was my rep there at Magic, and I was like, so Joe's not using your new cards. It's going to be this other thing. And he was like, dear God, Adam, what have you got me into? And I was like, but it's going to be worth it. And as soon as he thought about it, he's like, wait, this is better. It just totally threw his whole plan. And then when we got there, he brings the backpack that he had as a teenager. And Eric Ishii was the host that played opposite him. And we did a different set. And it was really a nice moment with Joe because he was so candid about his experience playing Magic the Gathering and with comic books and Dungeons and Dragons. And then he brought out his binder of Magic the Gathering cards. And and I'm there with Gavin and Trick. Those are my two guys from Magic who've been with me all this time. And he flips open that folder, having it been sealed for years. First thing you see is a Mox Emerald and a Mox Ruby and a few double lands. And he doesn't even notice him. He's like, oh, wait, there's my D&D character from when I was young. And he reaches in and grabs that. And then he has all these Moxes. Double lands.
Well, just let you guys know, Moxes, they were only printed in basically the first 3 sets of Magic, and they were deemed way too powerful. There's a very small amount of them even printed, and now they go for like tens of thousands of dollars.
That's incredible.
So yeah,
and the best
insane.
I have a Sarah Angel.
Do you have any Blevins?
Sarah Angel.
Yes.
Is that worth anything?
The best?
Yes. Depends on what set it.
Yeah.
Depends on what set it's from. I mean, are we talking alpha, beta, unlimited? Which one?
The first one, when it first came out.
If
Like,
you
right
have,
when it first came out, I got it. My friend was like was the Magic dealer in '94. I got it in '94, like April of '94.
Now is that code for drug dealer? Magic dealer.
No, he was the Magic the Gathering. He was
like the Magic Dust.
Northeast.
so what's crazy is Sarah Angel is one of the most famous, iconic pictures in Magic from back in the day. It was done by a guy named Doug Schuler, and that original artwork was stolen and has never been seen again.
Wow.
This artwork?
Yeah.
Because I love the art.
Here's-
I like it. I'm like, oh, let me have that one. He's like, all right.
So here's what's funny about this, though, is Joe, he then has a deck that he's made from back in the day with like an ATOG and Moxes in it.
Nice.
No sleeves, and he shuffles it. He shuffles it like a poker player. $3,000 card.
Oh my God.
Well, he doesn't.
Okay.
I mean, he didn't have to worry about anything. I did see that, and I don't know if you know, but shortly after they actually that pilot actually got out on YouTube, of course. Like you can go watch it. The one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And
No, it was a special. It was a one-off special. Yeah.
He went to a Magic tournament. He went to like an actual big Magic tournament, and it blew up. Like, I don't think he stayed before one round because everybody was like, "Oh my God, look who it is!" And I don't think he had a good time. But you should have known better, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, but I think being
You just walk into a Magic.
I would have assumed that being around like-minded fans, and players, gamers, he's there to play. That people would have given him a little benefit of the doubt. Yeah,
he was good. He was good. I would love to do a Magic the Gathering show with him hosting out in a second, but he's busy saving the world in other ways. But he's
all lies,
super guy,
TJ James.
super guy.
Why must you turn this podcast into a house of lies, TJ James?
Hey guys, I have to run. My wife is my son, my 14-year-old, is not home yet. He went out with his friends, and she's freaking out because either he hasn't responded to her or he's wanting to stay out some more. And she's been, if you hear me, bling, 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 it's her. So let me go find him.
Let's hope everything's good.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But he's just 14 and out, and it's 10 o'clock, and he's got schoolwork to do tomorrow. So
Magic dealer.
All right, I'm sorry, Adam. I apologize, but let me go do this before she doesn't.
Billy, it's good to see you again, dude. Good luck, man. Congrats again on your
I'll try to pop on if I could run out and come back real quick. I'm gonna go drive. I know his friend lives. He's just not answering the phone, so I'm gonna go over there. So, all right.
All right, buddy. We'll see you later.
Later.
All right, see you guys later.
Yeah.
So why day 9?
I think what it came down to is when we were initially selecting hosts. The thing I love about Sean is that Sean is such a tremendous comedian. And when trying to work it out with Magic the Gathering, I think they were less focused on it being like a pro Magic player, because the show was intended to be appealing to people who didn't know Magic, right? And so maybe somebody who there he goes now doesn't know Magic, and so there's nothing wrong with that. But so I think that they felt like, what we really need is actually somebody who's universally appealing and funny, more than we need the greatest player.
Man,
and I think that,
I will say
that was the choice.
Yeah, I like Day 9. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've watched tons of his streams, tons of his videos.
Yeah, he's great.
Like, again, like I'm a gamer myself, so of course, like, watching all these people, like, it's what I do, so I can stay in touch with what's going on at the top, or at the top levels. But I mean, you did have people that were charismatic. Like I said, I keep bringing up Brian Kibler because that guy is on top of the game. I mean, like, he was already on top of the game when it comes to Magic. Then he moved into Hearthstone, and I mean, like, he's one of the top commentators for the Hearthstone leagues, as well as the World Championships, and he has his own stream on Twitch.
Sure.
And you guys brought I'm not gonna say you, because I don't know how you guys chose who was gonna be on there. Like, you had Ari from Scorpion, which I thought was awesome. Of course, Joe Manganella, but then you had Luis Scott Vargas on the show, yep. And I was like, man, I would have, like, that was awesome to see him on there. But keep it with that theme, I would have loved to have seen some of the other people as well. I'm not discrediting him. I'm just saying, though, like, that's what you want to see, is you want to see the pros come destroy Day 9.
Yeah, it's funny that you said. I think Magic's intention was slightly different, and so much of those guests and the direction of that was influenced by one, his relationships that Geek and Thunder had, but two, kind of what they wanted to project out as the messaging. I know LSP was great. I mean, it was great to have that, and it was just kind of the way it worked out. Not to dig in too much into the weeds of that, but it was I think that would be the best way to answer that.
Yeah, now, how though did you get into all this, though? We've talked about so many different shows you've done, but how did all this even start?
I mean, as far as I mean, it's like, when did it all begin?
Wait, you mean I always did this?
Yeah.
I mean, I've always. I mean, I've been directing or producing commercials, films, or television since I was 21, and
right.
so it's been 20 years of it, and it's so it was like back in the day when I was 21, like making local crappy commercials, going to businesses and say, hey, I could make your commercial. That was where it began, in Utah, and then at 23 I moved to Los Angeles, and I started working with these two great producers who had just finished Napoleon Dynamite, and I did 3 movies with them as a first assistant director. And that opened up a lot of doors, which then I just kept doing more and more indie movies and started producing more, and writing movies as well. And when I was 28, I saw my first film as a script. Right, it became a movie called Game of Assassins. It was retitled. Most everything is, but it was retitled Game of Assassins for Lionsgate, and it was like this survival movie in hell that had all kinds of puzzles, and like you can see the gamer in me in that. And so it was really, that was the ride for me. And so it was a lot of 100-hour weeks from 21 to 30, a lot of 100-hour weeks, and then still when I'm directing Escape Tonight, it's 100-hour weeks for at least 6 to 8 weeks. It's every waking minute. And so that's really was the ride. It's where it began. It began, I guess, for me, playing Dungeons and Dragons in the basement as a kid and loving make-believe, and then getting into theater and starting to write plays. And then it turned into me, directing, commercials and television. And that was the ride. And so it was, there's so, when you have it, like, there's so many small decisions along the way. Like, I wasn't somebody who, like, I did this one thing and then I became world famous. And I'm not even close to world famous as it is, but I didn't have one step that, like, did it all. I have baby steps for 20 years that that got me into this where I am now. And so that's all I can say is it's lots of small, consistent work over a long period of time.
Now, what's it like though? Because like you said, you were playing D&D in the basement as a kid. Obviously you grew up a fan of tabletop games, like Magic the Gathering type games, and now you're actually, then you directed shows about it. Did someone come to you like, oh, I know a guy that produces, directs. He's actually a fan of all this stuff. We should bring him in.
Yes, that happened with tabletop, and there was a woman that was working with Felicia at the time, named Michelle Bryant, and she said, "Hey, Adam, I know that you're into all this stuff. Her and I produced a movie earlier. I know you're into all this stuff, and so why don't you come make this show?" And then within that circle, it became abundantly clear my passion for it and history with it, and that's how I got.
That's awesome.
Mm.
And I think that's what also too what led to the 8th, right? Jumping back to the comic book was. That was it was that journey in that world of making so much content and doing so many shows around other people's stories, and then with Escape the Night, where I was making my own story with Joey, that I wanted to do. Now there it is, season 1. That I wanted to craft something that was totally my own story, and I didn't have really any rules with it, and so I said, you know what? Let's go about it. Let's go about it this way, and let's do it as a comic book because then I can visually do it. I can have all this art and coolness and all the things that have been on my mind for a story, and I can do it without all the rules. So that's how the 8. I think that was the impetus behind let's make a comic book.
Nice.
And so that's. And then I think that, as far as with what's been exciting, I think as far as we talk about Escape the Night, is that was a series that that infused a lot of this like love of role playing games and fantasy. Because initially, when I first came in to meet with Joey,
I was about to say, did he
reach out to you?
Yeah, did Joey pitch it?
Yeah. So what happened is Joey Christoph had already had a deal with YouTube to do a show, and he wanted to do something. Yeah, for at the time it was called YouTube Red, which became YouTube Originals.
YouTube Red,
And so at the time he had a show and he wanted to do a murder mystery show, and he had like a couple a document that was a few pages long with some ideas, and he met with dozens of showrunners, lots of people with a lot more Emmys than me, and they pitched various, might be more traditional reality shows, but. When I saw him in the room and I looked at him, I said, I know what he wants to make. He wants to make what I want to make, which is a make-believe show where we take people and they enter a fantasy world. And it's this unique hybrid scripted experience it's sexy, and they go back in time, and there's monsters and mayhem and puzzles and this terrifying journey, and people die. And I remember when the production company that I was working with was like, Adam, that can't be your pitch back to him. I mean, that's just like, that's not a show. No one has made that show. And I was like, no, I think we need to swing big for it. And then when Joey heard that, he's like, oh, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. And then later he and I talked about it, and there was kind of the two things that he with me to make the show was, one, that he felt like I would take care of him, and 2, that the show he realized he wanted to make was the one I was saying. And then he and I have had an amazing journey together
five seasons later. Who was wrong now? Right.
That's
who
right.
Was wrong now? Where's Scare PewDiePie is only in season 2. What's up?
No, I know we become the longest running, most
absolutely
show for YouTube Originals, and super active fan base, and in a much of it, it is essentially like living a board game, this show, right? Because the stars of the show are unrehearsed and unscripted, and they live inside of this world that's very scripted and organized with explosions and monsters and puzzles, and they're all dressed up, and then there's a fantasy element to it. And once again, it's another way of like these things from this world of gaming that have bled into television sort of mixing a gaming element into TV.
Well, now
it's become kind of my thing.
Well, let's show the trailer for season 3. I know that's one that you're really that's one of your favorite seasons. So let's check it out so people get an idea. Because I'll be honest, after we had you on the show for the first time, I saw the email you sent us, all that stuff. I researched it, but now I actually like watched it and I liked it a lot because I think it's incredible. But I'll let everyone watch it and then I'll get into a little more of what I want to talk about.
My friends, I'm going on an extraordinary adventure, and I'm in need of your help, and so are hundreds of others.
There's a town stuck in the 1970s that we have to save.
It's your lucky day! The carnival's in town! We have a strong man, a snake woman, dolls with knives! It's like bloody Christmas every day! Just enjoy the carnival.
There's constellations on the wall. I need you guys to give me that code.
Hi, if they find out my secret, I'm ruined.
She just so happens to have cards. In the event that we need to vote each other to die.
Please stop, please!
Is Joey on our side, or is he just trying to kill us?
Come here, Daddy. Done.
Here we go again.
Enjoy the ride!
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, now you are working with like the who's who as far as like YouTube is concerned. I'm sorry. I mean, how did all that come to be?
So it was really so the way this worked out is that there's a production company by the name of Brian Graydon Media, and I had a show with them called The Survivors Club, which took out another show called Invasion, which we ended up selling, that I created. And one of the principals there at that company, she was friends with Joey's management. And so they got into pitch and they decided, hey, I'm the right guy for it because I understand fantasy and dark things and something that's more fantastical. And so they chose to bring me into the room to meet with Joey. And so how that worked out is it took, a year of getting to know that company, which then happened to have this odd connection there between the management and this company. And that's what got me in the room with Joey. It's I often say in TV and in movie making, it's impossible to describe sometimes how you get in a room, but once you're in there, what got you in there doesn't matter anymore, right? And so then we then I pitched to him, he loved it, and then we got the green light right away because the show had already been approved. They just needed a creator to figure out what the show was going to be. Mm-hmm. And so then we were off on it. It was right as YouTube, their original content program was coming together. We were on before Suzanne Daniels even fully, set into position. And so we were in a place where the show kind of slid under the radar because at first they were like, I don't even know what this thing is that you're making. I remember so many phone calls of like, Adam, what will the audience see when they watch this show? Like that's the level of like, what will they see again? Because I'm not sure what they're going to see. And at first, having talked to the president of the network many times, she was like, Adam, I thought it wasn't going to work at all. And then I saw your rough cut for episode 1. I was like, oh, what is it? This thing is awesome. And then it ended up being a big success. And the way I ended up working with the top, YouTube influencers is that, that making this show, it was a combination of two things. us reaching out saying, hey, we're doing this original premium show. And a lot of YouTubers at the time wanted to kind of, what is this curious thing? They wanted to be on a billboard. And Joey would reach out directly to a lot of people. He was really instrumental in the casting as well as one of the EPs on the show, Catherine Keithley. She would handle all the casting with the YouTubers. And so it was a big approval list of me and Catherine throwing names at Joey throwing names back, getting the network to agree to them, and then making offers. And it was just an exciting experience, I think, because it was coming from a top YouTuber to others. It was like, welcome to the club. Let's bring all the best of the best around. And I think as far as maybe there's never been a bigger, more, prestigious group assembled, and certainly not in that fantastical of a way. So, and then it's been great, and the YouTubers have been lovely. I've loved working with them.
There was never any drama. You would think with
There's
all
always
the
drama. There's always drama.
I mean,
we're YouTubers, Blevins, and we have drama all the time.
I do not have drama. Quit saying that.
Yeah, I mean, without going into any sort of obviously names or specifics, I mean, making television is hard. Working with celebrities, they are under a lot of pressure. We're shooting all through the night, and that process, they're running. I'm getting them thrown into water. I'm doing terrible things to them, and they're making the show, and it's hard.
I mean,
and with anything, there are times when somebody is screaming in your face, I hate you, I effing hate you, right after jamming the show, I hate everything about you. And that's your job as the writer, as the showrunner, and also in that case, I direct the show as well, where you have to be able to be calm under that, because it's not that they hate you, it's just that they're overwhelmed emotionally.
Yeah.
Right.
And
they're hating the moment right now.
That's exactly right. And it comes out at you, and to separate yourself from that. And it's like, this is not, and that's the ride of it. And it's, and it's hard, and it's gonna, and it's, there's no other way to say it. And it's, but that's the price. And you have to keep a ton of things in your head, and you have to be really precise and on it and focused and lead people through the night. And you have to make them be able to feel like in your hands, they're going to do better than with making their own choices.
Yeah, and I mean, they did such a great job too. I mean, like, again, to see where these people are now, like most of them, like, again, season 1 you had Shane Dawson, like who would have known how big he would have blown up to be? Season 2 you had Liza Koshy, fresh off her breakup with David Dobrik. I mean, I mean, really,
all the juicy gossip, Blevins.
Oh well, dude. I mean, this is like the crowd that I love this stuff. Like, I love YouTube. I love everything about it. I mean, season 3 was great. I was super surprised you got Guava Juice, because I would have never thought in a million years that he'd have been on it. And then like you kept ramping it up, and it's like, okay, well, here we are in season 4.
Yeah,
well,
true.
you also had Tana Mojo, and off of fresh off of TanaCon, you have Gabby Hanna, who is, I think, is an incredible creator and also an incredible singer. I mean, her work is just, is incredible.
No, I agree with you. I feel like there was a special zeitgeist of us trying to capture people such as Eliza, Nikita Dragon, Shane, right before they became too big for us to be on the show.
And then you got to have the All-Star episode and bring them back. I mean,
it was pretty special. It was a most special time, and the people we got, the influencers, and what happened to them. I don't know that it was necessarily a direct influence of Escape the Night. I think obviously being a part of that was a cool thing, because it brings so many fans and eyeballs together, and you get to see these influencers in a way they're never dressed or behave, and still being themselves. So it was really a special thing, and that we were always trying to check that pulse as who's that influencer that's gonna go, and so it was, and that's maybe the funnest thing about casting. I mean, because casting is one of those, you have to think about the fun parts, because it's one of the most frustrating, because you get turned down so much, and people's schedule don't work out. Everybody's busy, and they want more money, and all the things that come with casting. So. But yeah.
Now we had a question.
Yes, golden hour is a real thing. Yeah. That's a real thing. So what golden hour refers to is that last, half an hour to an hour as the sun is setting, when the color temperature of the light shifts from what, when you're outside during the day, the temperature is like 5,600 Kelvin, right? So it's a bluish light that your eye assigns white to that color. But that at that time of day, the light waves shift and it becomes much warmer because of like 3,200 or 2,800 Kelvin. It becomes a much warmer coloring. And because of the angle of it too, and because of the way it's hitting the earth, it's much softer. So it's soft. It's a really spectacular color, and it's the like idyllic way to light somebody or to see something, particularly when you're shooting outside where you can't, or it's very tricky to light, big landscapes. It's the most, and so why you're always sort of rushing out is because the sun is setting and you can't do anything about it, right? No amount of overtime, no amount of ego, no celebrity can stop the sun from setting. And so it's always this panic to get what you can in that window of time.
Well, that's interesting. There you go, Lou. So
so the frequency, the speed, the frequency of the wave determines the color. Yeah.
Nice.
And TJ James, this was all about Adam Lawson.
This is about his whole. He's got his hands in a little bit of everything here, just creating on all different media fronts. It's incredible. Now, what do you have? Do you have anything cool that you can talk about that's coming up? Anything you're working on? Books, TV, anything?
I do. In fact, let me. So right now, I am writing a television show right now for Warner Brothers, but that's the limit of what I can tell you on that.
Cool.
Because of these big, thick contracts. And then I'm writing
Blevins.
It's about Blevins.
Everyone knows Blevins.
Yeah, everybody knows.
Netflix didn't even give me an NDA when I got to write for them. They're just like, go ahead and say whatever. I was like, sure, I'm working on.
Like, wait, Blevins is on the phone?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm working on Dungeons & Dragons.
Greenlit. Yeah. Is there a way to send? Can I send you images, Nile, through the private chat, or do I need to send them via email?
Actually, what's the fastest? Why don't you just send me the images through Messenger, and then I can just drop them.
Through Facebook Messenger?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
That's happening right now. So let me. But so that's one thing, and I unfortunately can't give more beyond that with that project. However, and I'm writing an animated movie as well for a Chinese company. And I have something in the works at Netflix, which of course, all these things I can't talk about. So what I can talk about, because I own this project and I can talk about it, is the Kill Journal. And I just sent you now some images. And it's going to be the comic series that follows up the 8th. So the 8th will be its own story, its own complete journey, the 8 issues, hardcover edition. You can just get in the slipcase, put it on your shelf, feel like you not only read something cool, but can show something cool to the world. But the 8th, the Kill Journal is the next comic book campaign.
Same universe?
So it's not in the same universe per se, but it is, sure, it's in the same universe. That's a good way to say it. It's in the same universe.
Same universe.
It's in the same.
Lock
universe.
it in. You heard it here first, folks.
Yes, it's in the same universe. But in this story, the story is about revenants, which are evil spirits that are back from the dead, bent on slaughtering the living. And some of them wield chainsaws. Some of them crawl through your nightmares. And St. George is a preacher who believes he's been called by God, or so he claims, to rid the world of them. And he's recruiting survivors of these revenant attacks to hunt them down. So this is one of the revenants. This is the arts by this amazing artist who goes by Tauntaun Revolver, French artist. And this is what one of the revenants looks like they're hunting down. And if you go to the next image here now, you can see this is St. George, who is leading the charge against these revenants, which, there is an evil in the soil of America, right? And that is, we have more serial killers, we have more child murder, we have more dark things that occur in America. And, why is that the case? Well, there is this evil that is in the soil, and it sometimes manifests itself in these revenants. St. George is trying to stop them. Sydney is one of his recruits that has been brought in. Her daughter was killed by a revenant. Her life was falling apart. She was about to commit suicide when St. George felt inspired and showed up and said, "Hey, I have another mission for you." And so here's
It's incredible.
Yeah, the
here's
artwork is nice. I wonder if she knows that smoking is bad for her.
Yeah, I think that might be something.
It's the least of her worries.
Yeah, I think that's.
We need to go back.
Less. Yeah, I think that's less.
Picture, and we need to let all the kids at home know that she's okay.
Yeah. So I just I sent you a couple others on Messenger as well, but they are not. They're taking longer.
Way too long. You might be able to share screen.
Yeah.
I think our guests. I've never been a guest on a stream. No,
I can share screen.
Okay, yeah. If you could probably share images that way.
Nice.
And then I can pop them up.
Okay, so let's do.
The rest of them just came through.
Oh, they just came through. Okay.
Okay.
All right, here let me get these.
There's a few others, more characters. And
that artwork is awesome, man.
Artwork's killer.
Yeah, he is
literally killer.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love his work, and he really he's an artist also too that I met on ArtStation. I've been trying to track him down. He's super busy in the gaming space, but over a period of time, I was able to eke these images out of him.
Oh, did he do Zombicide?
He did not do Zombicide.
Oh, his artwork kind of looks Zombicide-esque, you know.
I'm gonna do this.
I think it has some elements there, but I don't think he was involved in that anyway. He's on the video game side.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So this is another one of the revenants that you saw with the tire iron. This is another one of those. That's another one of the revenants. This is another one of the survivors. This is Drake, straight edge singer. This is Finch, who used to fight in dog pits as a kid. His dad shoved him in one day when a dog didn't show.
Oh, wow.
This is Brecken. He's kind of a voodoo master from the New Orleans. And
that's cool.
These are a few of the other characters in this world. So this will be the follow-up to the 8th. Not that it's in the... not that it follows the characters of the 8th, but that it is a new comic book, a new venture, and really excited to see what comes of that as well.
Dude, I love team ensemble pieces. Love them, especially when everybody's individually different. Led by a pastor, like by a priest. Yeah, man. Down.
Thank you, Luti. Thank you. Yeah. No, right. It's led by a preacher, and I think there's something exciting about like a preacher as your man of action.
Definitely.
Yeah. Very cool, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Awesome. That's pretty solid.
So that's what's to come. That's what's to come.
Oh, I thought you were reaching to grab us a Kill Journal statue.
I know. I wish I was. They'll be coming soon.
I was trying
to get a little bit more light before my light in my living room just like fades as the sun drops, and so.
Yeah. Well, dude, we've had you on for an hour and a half, man.
Yeah, man, we don't want to hold you up.
It's much appreciated, you guys. It's good to chat, and
I hope I wasn't too dirty for you.
No, it was great, man. It was great. So please back the 8th if you're out there listening. It's a super amazing project. I poured my heart into it. You will not be disappointed. You're going to get by back it. You get digital issues right away. You'll get them every month, starting once the campaign closes, just like you were collecting it. And then you can get a 200-page, the hardcover, slipcase special edition of it. And if you're getting really crazy, you can get the T-shirt, the hardcover, and the digital. And if you are a man full of wealth, you can get the original statue.
That's incredible.
So those are the tiers. It's backed at Lou T. You're the man. That's my man right there. Thank you for that. Thank you, Lou. And so power.
Sorry, your power's out, Apex.
At least you got your priorities straight, man.
Exactly.
Yes, you went to what matters most.
Well, Adam,
no, thanks guys for having me again back on the show. It's super cool and taking the time and let me blather away about all these things. So,
dude,
man, we love it. We'd love to have you on anytime you want. And, we've got other shows lined up, kind of just like hangout shows. We're going to talk about different things and what. If you're ever interested in coming on, you're more than welcome.
Always interested.
Yeah,
interested. So
I hate that I missed the last show, but man, I'm so excited that I got to be here this time. And again, for everybody who's on here that just do not realize it, when you hear unsung heroes, you know what I'm saying? Like Adam is definitely one of the people that helped push gaming to where it is today. I mean, like he was super instrumental in that, like from the beginning. Well, I mean, you set the foundation. I mean, really, like you gave an eloquent stage for a story to be told. I think it's amazing. I think it's incredible that we got you on the show. I definitely am super excited that I got to talk with you. I know I nerded out a lot before the show came on, but man, I just excited.
I was like, simmer down, man. Save it for the show.
I was excited.
Yes, Blevins, let's hold there.
Yeah. Hey, Blevins, we need to save some for the show, okay?
Save some of the show, man.
But I've been waiting forever to ask these questions.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm glad you did. Absolutely. This is, whenever I know I always long when I go to Comic-Con, and you see Kirkman or whoever's there and you're like, I want to ask all these questions. Yeah. And then you can't actually ask any questions and you can't really get any time and he only can give you the Google answers. And it's fun to get.
Well, I think that's probably why, like they call me Fanboy Blevins. Like, I'm definitely part of the fanboy crowd, but I mean, like I definitely have been a fan of all of this stuff. Yeah, they call me Fanboy.
That's what we call him, Fanboy Blevins. He's Dr. Blevins.
These guys call me Fanboy Blevins.
Now he's Dr. Blevins because he's earned his doctorate in everything pop culture.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm completely blown away by your work. I mean, it definitely gave a platform when there wasn't one for people who were bullied, thinking that things were so nerdy and so geeky. And
what a full circle, though, huh?
You made it
now, like they want to be geeky.
Yeah,
the people I grew up with, the jocks, all that stuff. And some of them are really good friends of mine. But now it's like they want to call me to talk about Batman and this and all the other stuff. And I'm like, you know what, bro? Where were you then, huh?
Yeah, you made it cool. You made it cool for us.
Yeah,
and that's something that can never be taken away from us, and it's because of you. Like, I mean, really, like it's the truth.
I remember when I was doing Force Grey with Matt Mercer, and we were doing a live version of it. We did 7 episodes and a live. And he's like, Adam, do you think I should wear this robe? I was like, Matt, you're the cool DM. Don't wear the robe. You're the guy people want to be. You're cool. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, cool DM. Let's make this cool to be this. And that doesn't mean you're cool by excluding people, but that you can you don't have to. You can be whoever you are and still do this. You don't have to put on a cape. Matt is what you want to be.
It's a fact.
Yeah,
it's a fact. I invited him and Marisha Ray to my store before the roof came down. Like I had a timeshare in Branson. I was going to try to set them up. They had just gotten married not too long beforehand. I sent them a message. I'm like, hey, I really could. They're like, man, that would be awesome. Let's see if we can fit in our schedule. Then crash. No Matt Mercer. No Marisha Ray.
Yeah. No, that never happened for you.
I cried a lot. Huh?
For sure. Well, thanks again, guys, for having me on the show. I appreciate it. Nile, pleasure. Blevins. We can always do this. We can always geek out. I love that.
There you go. All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming on. It was so great to have you on, Adam.
Absolutely.
Keep us in the loop with everything you have going on. And like I said, man, we've got some really cool stuff lined up as POPXP. I'll send you some stuff. If you want to join us, you're more than welcome to. And yeah, man, keep on rocking. Can't wait to see the new book. Can't wait to get the current book that's on Indiegogo, which is the 8th. Yes. So remember, everyone, get out there, check it out in depth. Some great pledge levels. Watch the funding preview video. It's incredible. The artwork's incredible. The story's incredible. I'm not just saying this because you do film and stuff, but like this is something that I think would be freaking awesome to not just read and get to know everything, but I'd love to see this thing on a screen. I'll tell you that much. The whole concept of the armor and everything. This is one of the books right now in crowdfunding that I'm freaking ridiculously pumped about. Like, I really want to read this book because you've given me, you know what's killing me? I'm going to show you right now before we get off. This page where he is on the ground, right? And she's in the background, and it right here. Like, I need to know what's next. You've given me only so much. Because this isn't it. What's going on? I need to know.
Yeah.
We want to know what that guy did.
We will, all in due time. When do you plan on, once this is done, when do you plan on having this book in backers' hands?
So we say, the hardcover,
digitally,
February, digitally. So the way it works out with digitally is that after the campaign closes, and as soon as the funds hit the account, because there's a little bit of time in there, as soon as that happens, the next day, so to speak, or the next day after that, everyone will get digital issue number 1. Because all tiers get the digital side of it, so everyone will get that. And then they'll be getting one the next month. Neil said you'll be getting an email every month that will have that issue. It's new for that month, plus the previous ones, in case you didn't download it or whatever, along the way. So, it takes about a couple of months per issue, and so we're almost done with 6. And so by the time you have, before you've even gotten essentially through all 8 issues digitally, the print order will already be in, and you'll be able to get.
Nice
you'll be able to
plug
then
there,
get the
TJ.
hardcover stuff.
Great.
Very cool, man. Very cool. And then Lou does have one more question. We'll pop it up here if you don't mind. He says, one more question, please. Adam, how is it working in multiple different mediums of panel artwork storytelling?
Yeah, I thanks for asking that. It's when I think about in a movie or a TV show, I have a 16:9 frame, right? But I can move the camera and I can move subjects, and so when you build that, you're building panels for a movie as well, right? When you set up a shot, something happens inside of the panel, if you will. And what's nice about that is you always have the same panel. It's always 16:9. It's always a rectangle. And so as a result, you think about everything else. How do I move the camera? How do I move the actors? How do I do these things? But what's so cool about comic books is it's not 16:9. Your panel is whatever you make it. So you can't move your subject and you can't move the camera, but you can change your frame and the shape of your panel. And so in a way you use the shape of your panels and how close the subject is in each panel to mimic what you do with a camera, right? Because it's locked, but different parts of it are frozen, right? Movies, the frame is frozen, and in comics, the subject is frozen, but the panels are unlimited. So if that answers your question, that's kind of the way I think about the two, and I think they certainly help each other.
Do you find it challenging, though, or do you find it kind of easy to jump from each type because kind of like maybe the initial setup is kind of the same, the way you plan everything out? Yeah,
it's interesting. I think that in the beginning, there was a little bit of jumping, but now it's you just think, oh, I'm in a comic, so it works this way.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm making a movie, it shoots this way. Oh, I'm shooting a live show, it shoots this way. And it's like you almost like putting on a new pair of glasses.
Gotcha.
Each time.
Oh, very cool. Very cool, man. Well, appreciate that, Lou.
Definitely.
Appreciate you answering his questions. And then again to our people in the live chat, thanks so much for joining us. TJ James, always a pleasure moderating out there. The champion moderator. Apex, good to see you. Lou, as always. James, thanks for coming in. And everyone else that's been here tonight. Death Metal Hero. I just want to thank you all again. And Adam, a pleasure as always. Looking forward to seeing more of your work on screen, in paper, print, whatever you have. And you know what, dude? Good luck with everything.
Definitely.
And if you need anything from us, let us know. We'll continue to push your book in the 12 days you have left through our channels on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
You're awesome. Thank you.
We will see you all next week for a few more exciting episodes of Crowdfunding Comics. And we do have the Simonsons on next week, which is pretty exciting.
POPXP now.
What did I say?
Crowdfunding Comics.
Oh, shit, right? Well, what are you gonna do? Pop XP.
We're gonna take
Edit it out. Edit it. All right, everyone. Have yourselves a great night. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Get drunk. Get crazy. Stay safe. And we will see you all next week. Thank you.